Okay, time for everything to start exploding. Green Lantern War Journal number 6 is written by Philip Kennedy Johnson with art by Montos, colors by Adriano Lucas, and letters by Dave Sharp. The title of this issue is Showdown. This is going to be pretty short since this entire issue is one giant fight scene. The Revenant Queen is here and her seemingly endless horde of Radiant Dead are on the attack. Lanterns from the United Planets are completely unprepared for this and are dropping like flies, while John Stewart and Shepard do whatever they can to manage the crowd of enemies, with Shepard raining down as much destruction as possible, while John reshapes the battlefield by creating barriers that funnel the enemy into one spot. Varen tries to fight John one-on-one again, and it ends about as well as it always does. The one notable thing about this time is that they use the fact that Varen is a Durlan, and can thus change his shape. Tharos is a Durlan too, so it's kind of interesting that we haven't seen either of them use their shape-shifting abilities until now, at least as far as we know. I do like the justification though. Varen says that such tactics are reserved for the lower class, and it's a disgrace for someone of high standing to imitate the form of someone deemed to be lesser. I like that detail. It's interesting to explore how their worldview might be expressed through their own natural abilities. But mostly it's nice to see John make a gigantic Mega Man Buster arm and blow Varen away for what I can't imagine will be the final time. During the fight, a lantern named Katanak dies. He was the leader of the group of lanterns who tried arresting John and Shepard right before all of this blew up, and he tells his ring to report back to the United Planets about everything that happened here. We see his ring fly away and start scanning Sector 1417 for a replacement. That might be relevant because 1417 is Princess Iolande's sector, and it also used to be Sinestro's. We've kind of lost the thread on the status of Sinestro's homeworld, the planet Korrigar. It exploded, and then the refugees settled on a new planet and called it New Korrigar, but I'm not sure if that's in the same sector or not since they stopped identifying it with sector numbers after a while, though it probably doesn't matter since new stories just keep referring to it as Korrigar instead of New Korrigar, and it's extremely likely that a lot of writers don't know that it isn't the same planet, so it probably still is in Sector 1417. The point is, there's a Green Lantern ring looking for a new user, and it may or may not be right in Sinestro's backyard. We'll have to see if anything comes of that. Shepard is confident because this situation reminds him of the victory won by his John Stewart right before the Revenant Queen escaped into the main DC universe. As far as Shepard is concerned, this battle will play out the same way as last time, and that overconfidence is what left him open to the Revenant Queen's attack. She fatally wounds him, and Shepard is moments away from turning into a Radiant Dead. In a desperate attempt to save Shepard, John looks at the light of the Radiant Dead, watching as it converts living matter into a construct. And it makes John wonder, can he do that too? Instead of using his green light to build something, can he use it to transform something? Can he convert living matter into willpower? He tests it on himself, changing his own body into energy, and then goes about changing Shepard just enough to eradicate the infection. Again, I can't stress enough, John is learning how to do the same things that the Revenant Queen and the Radiant Dead are doing. I do not expect this to end well. Now we get to the moment I've been waiting for. John looks the Revenant Queen right in the eye and asks her who she really is. And we get a reminder that the Revenant Queen is a parasitic entity that jumps from one host to the next, and she's currently using the body of an astronaut named Jane. So really, this battle could also be a rescue mission if it isn't already too late. She does say that no mortal body can handle her presence for long, but what's interesting is what comes next. The Revenant Queen identifies itself as a force that came to know John when it claimed his pregnant wife as a host, and that his wife was a lantern on her world. The only lantern John has ever been married to is Katma, but unless I'm forgetting something huge, John was never expecting a child with Katma or anyone else for that matter. The wild card here is that we still don't know what any of this has to do with the Dark Stars, and at this point I feel like the answer might be buried somewhere in the 39-issue run of the Dark Stars series from the 90s. Even though we still have questions and are unclear on a lot of details, this issue does in fact tell us the identity of the Revenant Queen. She is an unliving avatar of a long-forgotten goddess, sent out into the multiverse by her father, Olgrun of the First World. And if any of that sounds confusing and out of nowhere, you are completely right, so let me explain. During Philip Kennedy Johnson's run on Action Comics, he had Superman uncover a lot of ancient secrets hidden deep below the surface of Warworld, all of which tie back to the ancient mythology of the first generation of gods. Olgrun was the first and most powerful of all gods, and he was so wrathful that all of the other gods eventually had to rise up against him. They couldn't kill him, so they cut him up and hid the pieces across the multiverse to ensure that he could never return. Remember Genesis, the energy source that Steel used to jumpstart John's current ring? That's literally made of Olgrun's crystallized blood. According to the accounts told to Superman, Olgrun had a daughter who was beloved by all until he killed her. She's the woman depicted in purple in the middle of the page. This is the Revenant Queen, or rather, the person who would be the basis of the Revenant Queen. What seems to be happening here is that some aspect of Olgrun has regained enough consciousness to project its willpower through unsuspecting hosts, making them into vessels that can spread Olgrun's light, his will, as far and wide as possible. So the Revenant Queen isn't actually Olgrun's daughter, just his memory of his daughter, given physical form by Olgrun willing someone to take her form. And when the will of Olgrun that animates her spreads to other people like an infection, it creates more and more radiant dead, who are really just additional access points, outlets for Olgrun's will. I'm of two minds about all of this. On the one hand, I think it's cool that Philip Kennedy Johnson is continuing to build this cosmic mythology across his many projects. On the other hand, the fact that the answers to so many of these questions come from somewhere outside of the story of this book and outside of Green Lantern in general kinda takes the fun out of speculating about it. Like the writer was working with a different set of rules than we were, but nobody told us until just now. Still, there are a lot of unanswered questions that are definitely connected to John's past, and I'm looking forward to seeing how those turn out. This entire issue is bookended by John's mom reading a story to his sentient construct sister, and I don't trust her one bit. It's little details like how her eye glows green when she's laughing, or how her dialogue inverts to become white text on a black background when she gets serious. The panel borders on this page are a whimsical floral pattern, which turn to thorns when she looks out a window at a dark star shining in the distance, even turning from green to purple as the dark star comes into focus and she looks intensely at it. So that does it for this issue. Now I want to know what you think. Did you read Philip Kennedy Johnson's Warworld saga? Do you care about Olgrun of the First World, and do you think it fits into this Green Lantern story? Do you trust this version of John's little sister? Tell me all about it in the comments, and I'll be back digging into the next chapter of the story before you know it. Thank you for taking the time to watch. My name is Dan. We'll talk again soon.